The newest AI unicorn is a Vibecoding platform, much to the surprise of no one. Welcome back to the AI Daily Brief Headlines Edition, all the daily AI news you need in around 5 minutes. In a surprise to no one who is regularly Vibecoding, Lovable has become the latest AI unicorn. The company raised a $200 million Series A at a $1.8 billion valuation. Now, this is a company that has seen immense growth. 2.3 million active users, 180,000 paying customers, and growth from 17 million ARR in February to 75 million ARR today. Now, Lovable achieved this growth while numbering just 45 full-time employees, demonstrating just how much tiny AI native teams can punch above their weight class. When it comes to what they're thinking about next, it seems like the big goal is to make the jump from casual projects and prototyping to being able to generate full production-ready code that can underpin a full business. CEO Antoine Osica said, "Every day, brilliant founders and operators with game-changing ideas hit the same wall. They don't have a developer to realize their vision quickly and easily." Now, it appears as though Lovable is getting closer to this idea of being able to support fully fledged businesses. At the beginning of the month, Antoine tweeted, "I'm officially an angel investor in a software startup built with Lovable. The team is cracked and the product is impressive. They're going to go far." He also recently talked about a Lovable-built app that made $3 million in 48 hours. Antoine writes, "The team behind it was already the largest edtech company in Brazil with 500,000 paying users. They used Lovable to build a premium version of their education platform in 2 weeks." We're going to talk a lot more in the main episode about all the different ways people are using Vibecoding tools and the expanded aperture of what they're actually doing with them. Next up, hot deal summer continues with Perplexity apparently raising an extension of their Series E round at a fresh $18 billion valuation. Sources said the deal would bring in another $100 million to add to the $500 million already raised in May. You could kind of chart AI's continued rise based on Perplexity's funding rounds. They entered 2024 valued at around $500 million, but added multiples across 3 funding rounds that year. This year, they've continued to jump, which is a reflection, I think, of both their relentless push to release new features such as their Comet browser, as well as the scarcity of cap table space at the leading AI companies. Now, speaking of Comet and web browsers, Perplexity CEO Aravind Srinivas had some interesting comments about competing with Google in a Reddit AMA about Comet that came earlier this week. He lauded them for keeping Chromium open source, and also talked about how, yes, they had with their Project Mariner some features that were similar to Comet. He said he expected them to pay close attention and to copy and adopt stuff. However, he pointed out that they face in a way that Perplexity doesn't an innovator's dilemma. He writes, "Google is a giant bureaucratic organization with too many decision makers and disjointed teams. And they have business model constraints on letting agents do the clicks and work for you, while continuing to charge advertisers enormous money to keep bidding for clicks and conversions. At some point, they need to embrace one path and suffer in order to come out stronger, rather than hedging and playing both ways." And while, of course, Aravind has an agenda in saying this, it is true that one of the structural advantages that startups have over incumbents in this AI battle is that they are not constrained by legacy business models. Now, so far, frankly, I think Google has done a pretty good job of threading this line, but the fact that they have to thread the line is a challenge in and of itself. Next up, we move over to another big theme of the summer, which is the AI talent wars. Zuck is apparently not done hollowing out Apple's foundation model team, as Bloomberg's Mark Gurman reports that Mark Lee and Tom Gunter have joined to work under their old boss, Ruming Pang, at Meta's new superintelligence group. Gurman mentioned that Apple is now offering pay increases to around 100 engineers as a retention incentive while they figure out their restructuring and acquisition plans, but he also noted that the retention bonuses fall far short of competing with Meta's offers. In fact, sources say that Gunter received one of those fabled $100 million packages. Now, as the market gets increasingly convinced that Apple is going to have to acquire their way out of this problem, one of the targets that has recently been reported is Mistral. Now, Mistral is one of the only startups left from the 2023 era that is still working to keep up with OpenAI and Anthropic in consumer-facing chatbots. And in the latest version of their LeChat product, they've added a deep research mode, a voice model, native multilingual reasoning, and image generation. And while on the one hand, those are just keeping pace and feature parity with tools, Mistral is clearly trying to carve out some separate space. First of all, it's one of the only companies left that's actively still pushing open models, which could be even more true as Meta is rumored to be pivoting away from open source, but also they've strategically positioned themselves as a European giant. In fact, with this release, they're saying that they're the only company that's able to offer a high-performance chatbot that actually complies with European laws. I don't know ultimately if that's enough to continue to compete, but in a world of giants, they continue to hold their own. Lastly today, some scuttlebutt around Claude Code. Users of the tool are complaining of unexpected usage limits. The platform's GitHub page has been flooded with bug reports as users try to figure out why they've been cut off. They're being told Claude usage limit reached and given a reset time, but no explicit announcement of a change in limits. One user wrote, "Your tracking of usage limits has changed and is no longer accurate. There is no way in the 30 minutes of a few requests I've hit the 900 messages." An Anthropic representative said that they were aware of the issue and working to resolve it, but didn't speak to any policy changes. Now, the change demonstrates how critical AI coding has become for many developers. One user told TechCrunch, "It just stopped the ability to make progress. I tried Gemini and Kimi, but there's really nothing else that's competitive with the capability set of Claude Code right now." Issues seem concentrated on heavy users who have paid up for access to the premium $200 a month max plan. Anthropic's pricing system has tiered limits that are supposed to be 20 times higher than the Pro plan, but the company has never guaranteed a certain level of access. Many users were never even aware there were usage limits associated with the max plan until this week. Frankly, Claude Code might be a victim of its own success. Anthropic has reported 300% growth in the product's user base over the past 2 months. Adam Wolf, who manages the Claude Code team, told VentureBeat, "We've seen 5.5 times revenue growth since we launched the Claude 4 models in May. That gives you a sense of the deluge in demand we're seeing." And however that gets resolved, I think that this challenge between cost and usage is going to do nothing but continue as AI-powered coding becomes more and more normalized. Speaking of which, that is the subject of our main episode, and now it is time to close the headlines and jump to that.